Hi, welcome to this workshop, The Drama Triangle, Getting Unstuck to Reclaim Energy and Influence. Thank you so much for joining COSIN's Educating Mindfully conference and choosing to watch this breakout session. I'm Caitlin Nisos. I work for the Wright Foundation for the Realization of Human Potential based in Chicago, although I'm based in Atlanta. We're a nonprofit using cutting-edge social and emotional intelligence to activate leaders who help contribute to a 200-year vision of a world that works for everyone. It's very exciting. While being an educator can be meaningful work, it can also be really tough work, physically and emotionally challenging. We can be expected to play roles beyond our job description. We can see students going through really hard times. We can receive a lot of reactivity from students, from their parents, and sometimes from our colleagues. The overall system can feel overwhelming, both with too much to do in a day and little scope to change. We can have a lot going on inside of us emotionally, which comes out in how we show up in the classroom or in our interactions. All of these realities may, of course, be compounded during the pandemic. So we know it's more important than ever that we develop and maintain emotional health and supportive self-care practices, which is why it's so great that you're here at the Educating Mindfully conference. Today's lesson is a life hack, really, to save time and energy on a very common block to nourishment, to personal power, to clean and responsible expression, and the ability to influence outcomes in life. This block is called drama. It's essentially an often unconscious avoidance tactic. The model I'll share today is meant to support you in reclaiming your energy and influence. And this is really about self-awareness and self-regulation and owning our own stuff so we can show up in a cleaner way with others, with our students and our colleagues, and be in integrity with ourselves while we do it. There's no guilt here. It's not just about conflict management, but really about learning a tool and a strategy to support us to live in a way that feels genuinely good to us. The concept has really helped me by putting language to common behaviors and thought patterns that I see in my life. And I see myself in all of this, so if you do, just know you have. Let's start by taking 5 deep breaths together. If you're comfortable, close your eyes or gaze softly at the ground in front of you. And don't force it, just allow the breath. I want you to start to recall a recent conflict or difficult situation. We can use this to work the material in this session. What happened in that moment? How did you feel in that situation? Fear, hurt, anger, sadness, or joy? Maybe a mix. How did you react? What did you hope would be the outcome? Did it play out the way that you hoped? Remember what you can and hold it for later. Start to come back to the room. Open your eyes. Welcome back. Let me set some context and then we'll dive into the content. At different points, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and reflect so you can check in on how you're relating to the content. In this session, my aims are to have you leave with a better understanding of what drama is and looks like, why drama matters, and how to get out of it, crucially. All of this in service of increasing our self-care and satisfaction in all areas of life. When we can identify and choose to step out of drama, we unlock choice, energy, and power, which we can use to be more effective and satisfied. To get the most out of this training, I offer some ground rules to create a learning container for yourself. First, all is welcome. Allow whatever thoughts and feelings come up for you. Be curious about your thoughts and feelings and reactions and memories that may pop up. Embrace a growth mindset. Ask, how does this apply to me, rather than have I heard this before? Ask yourself, what strikes me about this content? How does it strike me? And what does this mean for my life? All right, let's get started. We know self-care is a tool for sustaining our energy and engagement or influence. Nourishment feeds self-care. A basic definition to help make the connection between drama and self-care, nourishment, is anything that allows us to learn and grow. So really any situation can be nourishing if we approach it with the right mindset, a mindful mindset. Today we'll see how drama can block our nourishment and self-care, draining our energy and blocking our influence. What are common blocks to your nourishment and self-care? Is it a lack of time? Or a lack of energy? Or a sense that there's just too much to do? Or there's competing priorities? Family or job takes prominence? Or maybe nobody else is doing it, so I've got to step in and do it. Name it for yourself. These barriers are thoughts and beliefs that can leave us feeling drained, trapped, and powerless to get out. Conscious awareness helps us to increasingly catch when it pops up, and we can start to choose differently. See if you can relate to any of these. Again, no judgment, and I relate to all of them. Do you find yourself having the same fight over and over, or getting into conflicts that never resolve, or constantly rescuing the people around you, or taking on all the responsibility to fix or deliver something? Do you feel like you lack control over your life? Do you feel like you're the only grown-up in your relationships? I'm sure you do feel that way in your classrooms. Are your relationships full of blaming, nagging, whining, or complaining? If you can relate to any of this, then you've likely experienced the drama triangle. Again, no judgment. We're naming it to tame it. The drama triangle is a framework to see interaction patterns that we all have, where we're indirectly trying to get our needs met by unconsciously assuming one of the three roles I'm about to share with you. It comes from the field of transactional analysis, which was founded by Eric Berne. Berne's study was about the games we play to manipulate. They're often unconscious and they're rooted in our self-protection. One of his students, Stephen Cartman, came up with this particular game we're going to talk about today. And it's comprised of three roles of victim, persecutor, and rescuer. In each drama role, we fail to take full responsibility for getting our needs met and attempt to manipulate others, often unconsciously. All right, true confessions, and I'll remind you that I have done all of these at some point or another. But think about if you have ever felt sorry for yourself, felt powerless to get what you want, felt hopeless to change things, felt resentful of other people taking advantage of you, and maybe you stewed in it. You made excuses to procrastinate. If you can relate to any of those, then you've been in the drama triangle. And that really means all of us, anyone watching. If you've ever blamed someone else when things have gone wrong, or you're unhappy, or dropped your bad mood on someone else, anyone, students, colleagues, your family, something happened at home and you showed up at work and were a little stroppy. If you've ever acted superior to keep someone on the defensive, or beat yourself up, or ruminated, you've been in the drama triangle, I'm sorry to say. If you've ever been assertive to a fault and wonder why others are so reactive to you, or acted passive-aggressively, or felt hurt and hurt somebody back, you've been in the drama triangle. If you've ever repeatedly rushed to the rescue of friends, partners, students, families, coworkers, you've been in the drama triangle. If you've done any of these, you've experienced drama. One thing I find mind-blowing is that we don't even need somebody else to play with us to be in drama. This can all be within our own heads. We can beat ourselves up, try to rescue ourselves. It's a funny truth. And interestingly, I found that people who are more conscious and mindful and considerate of their friendships may actually tend to be much more keeping the drama in their own heads out of fear of negatively impacting anyone else. So something to be conscious of and watch. All right, so I want you to smile and say with me, I am a drama king or queen. You're watching a recording, so nobody's listening. Say it to yourself. Let's own the drama. It can be hard to look at this stuff sometimes, so bringing some humor and compassion in is really helpful. And we want to get over the part that says that's not me, because we all do this. It's just truth, and it's not a sin. All right, let's look at the three roles of victim, persecutor, and rescuer in more detail. We usually start with the victim, who wants a rescuer, but also gets persecuted by something. None of them are taking proper responsibility for our lives. The victim is feeling hopeless and helpless, and it's somebody else's fault. The persecutor puts 100% responsibility on other people without seeing their role. The rescuer takes responsibility that's not theirs, and we get stuck in this endless loop. We can jump around between all the different roles. So in the victim role, we're essentially denying responsibility for the circumstances, the negative circumstances, and we think we're powerless to change them. We end up doing less than our share of the work. We don't take a stand for things. We feel like life is happening to us. We tend to be super sensitive and like we need to be treated with kid gloves. Sometimes we can even pretend to be incompetent, and overall we're really expecting other people to take responsibility. And at the root of it, we're really often feeling overwhelmed by our own sense of vulnerability, inadequacy, or powerlessness. And one of the biggest blocks to our nourishment is really when we're feeling sorry about ourselves. When we don't take responsibility for our power, then we look for a rescuer. Often for victims, we feel let down by the world and the rescuer, and we feel persecuted by anybody trying to help us. The rescuer's giving advice intensifies the victim, the sense of victimhood, because it reinforces the message that the person is helpless. And victims can turn into the most vicious persecutors and attack the rescuer for not rescuing them. And they never see themselves as a persecutor because they feel so justified as a victim and vindicated because they feel like they've been done wrong. In the rescuer role, we're constantly applying short-term repairs to a victim's problems, but are often neglecting our own needs. We work hard to be helpful to other people, but are often feeling weary and tired. Maybe we're having physical complaints because we're not taking care of ourselves. We can be angry underneath, feeling used or done wrong and resentful. We can kind of play the martyr, like, oh, it's okay, I'll do it, and really use guilt to get our way. So essentially this role is kind of like do-gooders without boundaries. We're not owning our vulnerability. We're there to help you, but not being in a mutual journey. So this might look like I'm putting my students first, but neglecting to care for myself. We want to rescue other people that are vulnerable rather than admit our own vulnerability. Where victims do less than 50% of the work, rescuers tend to do more than 50%. Rescuers offer help, but often it's not asked for, and they don't find out from you how you want to be supported. They just assume and do it and then get mad if you don't like their gifts. Often rescuers will do things they don't really want to do, and then they feel hard done by, resentful, used, or underappreciated. They don't take responsibility for themselves, and then they end up feeling like a victim too. So we can see a surface mode of trying to help and solve a problem, but there's a hidden motive of trying to get to keep the pattern going so that they can feel good and have a sense of self-esteem. They enjoy having someone trusting them, depending on them, as well as feeling important and feeling valuable. And this is the icky part, is often at a deeper level, rescuers are sort of preying on a victim to get the payoff of feeling good about themselves. So they're actually using someone where it looks like they're helping. Rescuers can seem really calm and reasonable, but if their words are to placate or soothe or calm or explain or justify, that can usually be a rescuer response. And this isn't the same as helping somebody try to emotionally regulate, in a grounded and mutual way, but in a kind of more manipulative way, like, oh, it's okay, like without really being with the person. It's trying to move someone from where they are to another state without telling the truth about the situation. They want to fix it, they want to make people better, but not deal with what's really happening. Now, the persecutor role blames the victims. They criticize the enabling power that rescuers have, but they don't guide you. They just make wrong. They don't offer assistance or solutions. They're often critical and unpleasant and are very good at finding fault. Often underneath, they feel inadequate about themselves. They try to control with threats or order or rigidity. And they can be loud or they can be quiet. We know that there's some silence that can be very, very powerful and consuming, dominant in a room. Often persecutors are not aware of their own power, or they discount it and don't always realize their force or destructive power. And anyone can be a persecutor. Victims persecute and rescuers persecute too. But oftentimes persecutors think they're being persecuted themselves, so they feel like a victim, and then they take this out on other people by criticizing or blaming. An interesting thing to be aware of is often people can think they're being persecuted, but really they're being invited into accountability. So like a boss asking for a report on time. It's actually a reasonable request and part of our job description. So this is something to kind of look out for, is when there's a real persecutor and when there's actually an invitation to accountability, to take more responsibility for ourselves. So like I said, we can play all of these roles and we can jump between them. So what this might look like in real life. The kids in class are being especially reactive today and they're talking back to you. So they're kind of playing a persecutor role. And you feel sorry for yourself that you're not getting what you want from them, but you're not being clear and communicating back to really get what you need. So you're kind of in a victim mindset. Then you unload your litany of complaints to your boss and that become a persecutor. And your boss says, you really need to get with the program. They become a persecutor to you. So then you go complain to your colleague who tells you how messed up your boss is and how great you are. And they kind of play that rescuer role. And it goes on and on and on. If it sounds familiar, it's because this is life. It's the plot of many or most stories revolving around these roles. And it really externalizes our internal process. And again, this can play out in our own minds that we're playing. Let's take a minute now to digest and tune in to what's coming up for you. So again, the prompt questions are, what strikes me? How does it strike me? What are the implications for my life? It may be helpful to recall the conflict or tough situation that you were thinking about at the beginning of the session and see how the drama triangle may apply there. If you can, try to own where you play these roles in your life. Again, the more that we can name it and own it, the easier it's going to be for us to shift our patterns and get out of it. I invite you also to, if you like, pause and reflect, to take a few minutes to reflect or journal. And think about, which role do you fall into most? Is it victim, persecutor, rescuer? Or are you multi-talented like me? I'm multi-talented for sure. Okay, so now we know drama exists and what it looks like. Let's talk about why this is a problem. We are people who care deeply about the world and our contributions, about our students and their learning. But drama avoids responsibility. It blocks growth, nourishment, satisfaction, intimacy, real connection, and meaningful change. It drains energy and life force that could be used elsewhere. It creates a fake aliveness, but we never really get satisfied. It keeps us locked in our patterns and nothing changes. It never results in more intimacy or real connection or influence, or positive influence, connective influence, because we're essentially avoiding the issue at hand and playing games. Not only that, but every time we engage, we reinforce unconscious, mistaken beliefs. Some examples might be, I'm not good enough, I'm powerless, I can't, I'm fragile, I'm alone, I'm not capable, I can't trust anybody. Look what they made me do. I have to please other people to exist. It adds more weight and builds the neural pathways to these limiting beliefs in our brain. So it's not only not nourishing, but it's actually really damaging. We don't want to show up with those beliefs guiding our interactions and the way that we're leading in our classrooms. The only way to escape is to function as a responsible adult and accept responsibility, to participate fully in what you can do. When we do take responsibility, when we're more direct, when we're aware of what our yearnings are, our deep universal human hungers to matter, to make a difference, to connect, to be living our purpose, be something bigger. When we're able to take responsibility to meet those in a direct way, it's a whole different way of living. And I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. But that's where growth happens, where nourishment and compassion and well-being happens. There are studies that show huge benefits when we get out of drama and move towards personal responsibility. We realize we have power. We have increased potential. We can see new possibilities. We get increased energy because we're not wasting a bunch of energy kind of in conflict or, nervous or worried. We're empowered to leave behind the effort that all the denial and deflection takes and apply those to new behaviors that support a new future. It gives us the energy and power back to improve. We realize that we have it inside of us and we can reclaim it. It gives us greater motivation to believe in ourselves again and greater resiliency to bounce back from failure and upset. We can accept that we can learn from everything that happens to us and we can develop a growth mindset. We can start to believe that we can change. We can see experiences as learning experiences rather than being done wrong. Our problem solving is better. We can see new avenues for change and influence. We can start to see more solutions. So the faster you get out of drama, the faster you can get to the solutions and the creativity. We have greater productivity as well. So when most people are confronted in a company or a school, often we use blame, shame, or justification as a response. And there's research that shows that in this case, there's a 94% chance that nothing will change. But when people take responsibility and see how they can do it differently next time and work together, there's actually a 94% chance of change and new success. And this leads to an increased morale in schools and to improved decision making. So we're more likely to make better decisions and not put off hard decisions because you're not engaged. And this all serves us to be better leaders, better educators, and to have better relationships with fewer repetitive fights, more altruism, more understanding, more intimacy, and more goodwill. The studies show that all of this can happen if we can get ourselves out of drama to get truly nourished. The goal is not to avoid drama altogether. That's unrealistic. It's just part of life, but to catch it and get out of it faster over time. That's the goal. So let's create a vision. Close your eyes again, breathe, and tune in to what a satisfied life looks and feels like for you, or what a satisfied classroom experience looks like. Do you want greater motivation and productivity, improved decision making, more hope to see more possibilities, to have more energy, to have increased resilience, being better able to face challenges, to have better leadership, to have better relationships with more intimacy, trust, and understanding, to have more personal power and influence? Name it for yourself and come back to the room. So that's a big list of benefits, and all of these benefits can happen when we get out of drama. So why do we keep getting into drama in the first place? Main thing is it's so pervasive and normal. It's how we interact, it's how we commiserate, it's how we communicate. We're so accustomed to it that we just don't even see it. And drama is catching. So the minute you come across someone in a role, you're drawn to play a corresponding role. I mean, how many conversations do we have that are based on whining or complaining or laced with reactivity and defensiveness? With students, colleagues, friends, it's really everywhere. And we can increasingly choose not to take the bait. Another big reason that we get into this is because there is a secondary gain. It gives us a false sense of power over our circumstances. And we're really trying to meet our deep yearnings, those universal hungers that I mentioned, in indirect ways. So the victim wants attention, a kind of poor baby, and to have less responsibility. The persecutor gets their ego fed a little bit. They get to feel like they're able to influence and feel superior, and they get to call the shots. And for a rescuer, they get to feel needed and righteous and superior and have a sense of their own value. But if we want those things, we can go for them directly. There's no real power in the drama triangle. The victim isn't. All right, now we're going to go inwards again. So close your eyes here for a second and take some deep breaths. Notice which yearnings pierce you the most as I read them. To be safe and secure, to love and be loved, to connect with others, to belong, to be close, to be seen, to be heard, to be known, to be understood, to be affirmed, to be valued, to matter, to make a difference, to live your purpose, to be part of a greater whole. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, and come back. Yearnings can be yummy. It's nice to connect with them. I hope that there was a few there that resonated for you. And we want to hold on to those because there's a real cost of not getting out of drama. Since drama blocks us from being able to meet those yearnings, studies show that when we're in drama, we don't have any critical thinking in the drama triangle. We lose that. It defeats our accountability and personal power. We replace truth with fake excitement and adrenaline. We lose our critical thinking. We can become more cynical. We can feel more guilt, and we can feel more isolated, and we have difficulty perceiving good intentions and truth, which is particularly a challenge when we're in, working environments where there's such a collective of people that need to pull together. If we can step out of the drama triangle, practicing accountability can give us a sense of relief, a sense of personal empowerment, and self-compassion, and open the door to so much more connection and opportunities for satisfaction. It opens space for growth, for nourishment, for compassion, and agency. We realize that we have power. We can refocus our energy for successful, fulfilling outcomes, inviting resiliency, self-belief, a growth mindset, problem solving, creativity, greater productivity, improved decision-making, and timeliness. It can also give other people a chance to support us, to adapt or help make situations right. Usually people are much more willing to help than we give them credit for. We can also start to learn to deal with uncomfortable emotions and meet our emotional needs directly through being direct, open, expressing, and being vulnerable. We can move to having deeper self-care, energy, and meaningful influence. Step by step, this may look like noticing drama, naming the feeling that we're having or feelings, naming the yearning or that deeper desire underneath of, we might be having a fight up here about homework and deadlines, but really I'm wanting to feel respected and feel like I'm heard and that we're in this together. So when we name that, then we can identify a more direct path or action to meet that yearning. So when I feel a charge, an emotional charge, it's an invitation for me to understand and take responsibility and see what I can do to get out of drama. If we can meet those deeper yearnings directly, then we can get satisfied. They're really breadcrumbs to emotional health and satisfaction. Consciousness is key here. When we see it, we can choose to take more responsibility. Not only do we influence our experience, but we can model this for students in our classrooms and other people in our lives. It is not a sin. We are not bad. There's a reason why we're doing this. And if we can get that and do it in a more supportive way, that's the magic. So to summarize here, the drama triangle is an interaction pattern we all have to get our legitimate human needs met indirectly. It manifests as 3 roles: victim, persecutor, and rescuer. We can play all the roles and we can jump between them. We can play these roles with others and in our own minds. Engaging in drama keeps us stuck in discomfort, blocking nourishment and expending unnecessary energy. Getting out of drama helps us to be with ourselves in real time and more effectively meet our needs directly while strengthening our relationships with other people, because we're kind of clearing some of the gunk out of the way. So we'll never be completely free of drama, but with practice, we can increase our awareness and reduce the time it takes to get out of it. Let's go inwards one last time together. Close your eyes if it's comfortable. I invite you to take a few moments to claim one thing you'll try to do differently as a result of this session. Identifying a small, achievable step helps us retain our learning and put it into action. So that might look like, if a student shows up in a bad mood and yells in the classroom, then I may take a deep breath before I respond. Something as simple as that. So here, take some deep breaths. Think about the upcoming days, hours, moments. Is there a specific engagement that you're nervous about and anticipate conflict? It might be a similar situation to the one you recalled earlier. It might be different. Either is okay. Think about that situation. Now I'm going to repeat the list of yearnings. Identify which most apply to this situation. What yearning do you want to meet? To be safe and secure. To love and be loved. To connect with others. To belong. To be close. To be seen. To be heard. To be known. To be understood. To be affirmed. To be valued. To matter. To make a difference. Now identify one action you can take to meet your yearning directly in this situation. Prepare your body, mind, and spirit to respond in this supportive way. Trust yourself to learn and grow. Take one more deep breath, open your eyes, and come back. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this is a useful model to catch and release drama in your life in service of reclaiming your energy, your influence, and overall satisfaction. I'd like to credit Dr. Judith Wright and the Wright Foundation for the core concepts used in this presentation. If you'd like to learn more about our work, please go to wrightfoundation.org. That's WRIGHT foundation.org. We offer a powerful, free, day-and-a-half experiential emotional intelligence training to help people create a life of more. It's called the More Life Training. It's really amazing to get like a whistle-stop tour through social emotional learning and key methodologies for transformation. You can check out more at morelifetraining.com. And if you have any questions or comments, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So feel free to email me at caitlin@wrightfoundation.org. That's CAITLIN at WRIGHT It is great to be in this mutual learning journey with you. Thank you for all you do. Educators are truly the heroes in my book. So thank you for joining the conference. Thank you for spending time with me, and be well.